In America's noisiest political era, where shouting often drowns out substance and division is sold as strength, silence has become revolutionary. And no one wields it like Jasmine Crockett. In a world ruled by ego and spectacle, she doesn't dominate the room by raising her voice. She commands it by speaking truth with surgical precision. While Donald Trump built his brand on chaos, nicknames, and relentless noise, mocking women, vilifying journalists, and bending facts to fit his story, Crockett took a different path. She doesn't traffic in insult or outrage. She enters with composure, armed with facts, not fury, with law, not lies, and with a clarity that slices through spin like a scalpel. Trump's political strategy has always been to turn every arena into a battlefield, every critic into an enemy, and every mistake into someone else's fault. But in a recent congressional hearing, as Trump loyalists scrambled to distract, distort, and deflect, Jasmine Crockett stayed quiet until she didn't. With each question, she dismantled misinformation. With each sentence, she dismantled ego. She exposed contradiction without a single shout, commanding attention not through volume, but through unshakable truth. While others battled to be heard, Crockett became impossible to ignore. Her silence wasn't passive, it was power. And in a moment that felt more like history than headlines, she reminded a nation what real leadership sounds like: calm, clear, and completely unstoppable. She didn't need to shout. Jasmine Crockett's words, precise and deliberate, did the damage without theatrics. Her calm wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the sharp edge of control. Each pause between her sentences was more cutting than any insult, each silence a reminder that true power doesn't need volume. In that congressional hearing, while Trump, loyalists resorted to chaos and diversion, Crockett's poise became her weapon. The moment went viral, not just because it was rare, but because it was real. Americans across the country watched, many for the first time, as a black woman in Congress dismantled the remnants of Trumpism, not with outrage, but with elegance, intellect, and unflinching facts. Commentators called it a masterclass. Voters called it hope. Even her opponents, so used to drowning others out, had no choice but to listen. Because when you're up against someone who refuses to play your game, you don't just lose the debate, you lose control. But Crockett isn't here for applause. She's not chasing sound bites or fame. She's building something more enduring: trust, clarity, and integrity in a system that often rewards the opposite. In an era fueled by outrage and spectacle, she chooses discipline, and that more than anything terrifies those who depend on noise to stay in power. This wasn't just a hearing or a viral clip, it was a turning point, a signal that the tide is shifting, that in the rubble of shouting, matches and partisan spin, there's a growing hunger for truth, for leadership grounded in wisdom, not ego. Donald Trump had his moment, his stage, his spotlight, his storm of words. But when the dust finally settles, it won't be the loudest voice that echoes through history. It will be the one that stood firm, spoke truth, and never had to scream to be heard. Jasmine Crockett didn't just win a moment, she changed the tone of the room, and maybe even the future.